One phone call can change a person's entire life. But for me, the difference between two phone calls were a matter of life and death for two people. My name is Angela Harders. I was born in 1987 and raised in a Christian home that was actively involved in the pro-life movement in Washington, D.C. My father was the vice president of the Rockville Pregnancy Center. So I grew up knowing all about abortion and the harm that it causes for both babies and their mothers. So you can imagine my complete shock when I found myself holding a positive pregnancy test in my trembling hands just a few weeks after being raped by a relative of a friend of mine. Fear led me to my initial reaction, which was to call Planned Parenthood and schedule an abortion. The lady from Planned Parenthood took down my information and told me that I could book an appointment for that Friday afternoon. She assured me that they would help me take care of my problem and no one would ever have to know. I was completely overwhelmed by shame and by fear. How could I choose to do something that I believed in my heart was wrong? But how could I choose to do what was right? I thought that my life was over. But because of the work that my father had done, I knew that I could call a pregnancy center for help. I decided to call a random pregnancy center in New York on Wednesday evening. When the lady answered the phone, I could barely speak. She said, "It's okay, honey. Take all the time you need. I'm here with you." I began to share with this stranger everything that had happened to me. I shared with her my fears. I confessed that I had scheduled an abortion and I was terrified. With such compassion, the lady said to me, "Angela, you know, sex doesn't make babies. God does. For some reason, God is choosing to give you a life out of this terrible situation. God knew that you would be a great mom, and I know that you can do this." I immediately felt a wave of peace just come over me. And I knew that she was right. I knew that God had a plan and a purpose for everything that I had been through. Friday morning came and I decided that I was going to cancel my appointment at Planned Parenthood. So I made another phone call. The lady who answered the phone was the same lady who had booked my appointment a few days before. Instead of speaking words of encouragement and empowerment, she spoke to my fear and my shame. "You know that if you go through with this, you'll never be able to travel the world like you said you wanted to." She repeated again, "We can take care of this problem for you, and no one would ever have to know." I said, "No one would ever have to know? I would know, and God would know, and that's enough for me. You can cancel my appointment." I hung up the phone, and I just burst into tears, but this time they were tears of hope. The dichotomy of the two phone calls was so staggering for me. The woman from Planned Parenthood told me, "You can't." But the woman from the pregnancy center told me, "You can." The woman from Planned Parenthood spoke to my fear, but the woman from the pregnancy center spoke to my faith. The woman from Planned Parenthood left me feeling hopeless, but the woman from the pregnancy center left me feeling hopeful. I was full of hope, full of courage, full of empowerment, full of life. I chose life that day, and my daughter just turned 10 years old. But there are many women in the same circumstance as me that don't know about the help that pregnancy resource centers can offer. So they choose abortion because Planned Parenthood is the only voice that they hear at their most vulnerable time. Many people believe that rape should be the exception regarding abortion laws. But the truth is that the trauma of rape will never be undone by adding the trauma of abortion. My daughter was a huge part of my healing. God gave me life out of a situation that I thought would be the death of me. My daughter did not deserve to die for the crimes of her biological father. I know many women who have chosen life, even after rape, and not a single one regrets that choice. And I know many women who have chosen abortion, and they live with the regret of that choice every single day for the rest of their lives. You can do this. You can choose life. You are not alone.